This is a very important topic. It seems like everything these days is on a screen, from your work calls to kids learning, even that Friday cocktail hour with friends. With all that online time, you are bound to feel a little overwhelmed, to say the least. We have got ways to help you blast that burnout with workplace mental health consultant Lindsay Recknell. Lindsay, thank you so much for being here this morning, because a lot of us might be feeling it and not even realize it. So we need coping strategies. Good to see you. How are you feeling?
I am well. Thank you for having me.
What is burnout?
You know what? Burnout is more than just prolonged stress. It's that tipping point where we move from having too much deadlines, too many people demanding our time, and tipping over into not having enough energy, motivation, cares left to give to our friends and family, and more importantly, our work.
Okay, so let's talk about those signs that signal maybe we are suffering from it. First up, the physical signs.
You know, if you are experiencing more than normal headaches, backaches, having trouble sleeping, those could be signs of actual burnout.
What about the mental and or emotional signs?
Yeah, if you are feeling, when you go to work and you want to leave right away, if you are feeling more irritated than normal, if you get an email and it sends you over the edge right away, if you are feeling like your motivation is gone or you're not adding value anymore, and you know that usually isn't true, those are really big signs of heading to burnout as well.
Okay, so let's get to those so important, ever important coping strategies to blast burnout. One of the things you say is set boundaries and communicate them, which is easier said than done.
I think this is the hardest one to do, but I also think it's the absolute most valuable thing to do. Figure out what your boundaries are, set them, and then more importantly, stick to them. We can always keep our commitments to other people, but it's the hardest to keep commitments to ourselves, and that is the most important thing.
So you say set that schedule for lunch, set it in like you would an appointment, and your breaks. And official quitting time, stick to that. You also say block out your schedule. So what do you mean by that?
Block out some time for actual focus time. Turn off distractions. Turn the notifications off on your phone. Tell people around you that you are going to spend an hour, 2 hours just focusing so that you can be productive, and then schedule time away to recharge as well. Okay,
this might sound a bit scary to some, but you say have a plan and communicate it with your boss, because everyone's afraid of looking like, do they think I'm not doing enough? But if you're about to suffer burnout, a lot of people are, if you don't speak up for yourself, it can really turn bad fast. So what and how would that conversation look like?
So be intentional, open the door to a conversation by suggesting, this is how I'm feeling, and these are some ideas I have to help reduce my burnout. Here's some strategies that, maybe we can be flexible with my time, or I can contribute in different ways, and just be intentional and be honest and authentic with your boss. Chances are they might be feeling the same way, and it'll open the door to an even greater conversation.
I remember reading something once when we were all working in offices pre-pandemic, and they were saying if you sit at your desk to eat your lunch, everybody else is going to feel like they have to do the same. And then nobody gets any benefits from having a mental break, going outside if you can, if the weather is nice. So it's that sort of setting an example. Just because you're all doing it doesn't make it okay. And if you're the one that sets that new standard, everybody else will reap the benefits of doing the same. So I know with me, when my phone's going off, I'm like, I got to see who's writing me. And my husband's like, give yourself an hour. Like, don't look at your phone. But you feel like you're tethered. So you have to reply right away. So how do you make sure you stick to those guidelines and avoid the temptation of, oh, there's another 2, or 10 emails in my inbox that I have to address right away?
It is ridiculously hard. That is one of those boundaries to set. And then put your phone in a drawer, put your phone in the car, somewhere where it's super inconvenient for you to access it. And that'll just give you that extra incentive, right? It's like if you want to change the channel and the remote's too far, you probably won't. So put it away where you can't get it. And that little bit of friction will really help.
You know what else is interesting, Lindsay? I'm hearing with kids that are online learning. The fact that we're having all these Zoom calls with the camera on, or they're watching their teacher, they're so aware of themselves staying focused and on, versus a classroom where you could wander, you could drift, you could daydream out the window. You feel like you have to be on, and you're distracted by everybody else's little screens. Do you recommend, if possible, for teachers out there to understand why kids maybe should shut off that camera and let them listen, as opposed to feel on and watching everybody else in their backdrops?
Yeah, you're totally right. I think it's all about that balance, right? That balance between being on and present so that people can focus, but also having that chance to just daydream. I mean, conceptual thinkers need to have that time in their head. And if you can find a nice balance between being on and off, I think that would meet the needs of all the different kinds of learning.
Yeah, and then they'll be able to listen better and maybe learn a little bit more rather than thinking like, I'm on, they're on, I'm distracted. It's draining. It's just too much having to be on all the time. Where do we get more information? This was great.
Awesome. Well, my website is called expertinhope.com, and I have a mental health in minutes digital download that's available for everyone as well.
Lindsay, go take a break. Shut that camera off, okay? But thank you so much for sharing that. That was awesome. We'll be back with more BT.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Right after this.